Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming for this course, which is about focus observations, role and characteristics. This is part of the requirements for the course of observation and opportunity discovery methodologies, which fulfills the requirement for the master and PhD of the Inspiration Economy program. Now, in order to create a focus observations, we need a specific mindset. This mindset starts with first adopting, before we start observing, a clear objective or key questions. For example, we cannot observe everything, but we need to focus on a certain, let's say, guiding stars. For example, the objectives wasn't just look at the SPA, but to understand why it has low market share despite 25 years of experience. So the requirements, which is the SPA in Bosnia, the requirements is to define what we are trying to learn or achieve before we start. So this was a SPA that we visited in Bosnia, and one of the things that we talk about in the slides, and which you might present later, is that it have a low market share. So the focus observation was what we are trying to learn to achieve before we start working for the SPA. A hypothesis to test this is to go in with an informed guess. For example, to structure our observation and to look through, for example, specific areas. So, for example, for a metal factory, we want to see, for example, what are the type of operating costs and the internal potential within the factory. So here the format is we might ask ourselves, we wonder if a statement that can guide us to further inquiry. The other things that help us to have a focused observation in our mindset is the knowledge of patterns and frameworks. The observers, for example, they should look for patterns related to business and strategy. These patterns can, for example, be like a SWOT analysis, the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. Sometimes you look for the supply chain analysis, or the marketing mix, or the impact measure. Now, the requirements is to educate ourselves on relative models for the field. For example, whether it is business or social or engineering, so that we understand the vocabulary of what we are trying to see. So we call it the textonology. The fourth maybe technique for creating focus observation is the contextual awareness. We need to understand the broader, let's say, environment of the problem we're working with. For example, noting high competition from neighboring countries for the SPA, then we need to think about how we can do research on the industry, understand the market, the community, the cultural norms beforehand. So an observation is meaningless without this context. There are practical actions and techniques, what we call it the how-to, that we can help us to create focus observation. For example, we need to have a pre-observation preparation. These preparation can be to first see and research about the facts and the data. And then we need to see also and prepare key areas to observe a customer interaction, workflow processes, physical layout, team dynamics based on the objectives. The other thing is that we need to think about immersing and being there. For example, to go to the Gemba, go to the field, is a Japanese, let's say, statement of a real place where we observe the activity where it is actually happening, and the factory floor, the clinic, and the storefront. Then we need to engage all senses. So we should not only just look, but actually we should also listen to conversations and complaints, and notice what feels efficient and chaotic. So the role of focused observation in establishing inspiration economy models is start with finding first the inspiration currency, and then deploying this currency in a focused approach, and finding solutions, and then generalizing the model, and then publishing the model. So focus observation, focus on inspiration opportunities or that start with what? So for example, can be what can be done with little energy. This is one of the things that will help us to bring focused, our observation to be more focused. But how also what can be done with little energy but centralized and aligned, or what enables significant large improvements, or what makes a small time the required in a small time, what we can bring in a rapid progress. So by finding our inspiration currency, we can collect better data. When we collect through focus observation, we actually look for discrepancies and inconsistencies. For example, the gap between what is said and what is done, the workaround that employees have invented, or sometimes we identify the pain points or the frictions. Where do people, customers, or employees struggle, wait, or get frustrated? So, for example, no evaluation on the type of the strength at the NGO. So, for here is example is that there is a pain or a point of, let's say, friction that NGOs are not evaluated in their strengths. Sometimes also we need part of data collection is search for hidden assets. For example, what is underutilized. For example, 25 years of experience for a certain project manager, or for a university accreditation, is part of the hidden assets. If also one of the data collection importance, or part of the focus observation during data collection, is that we should ask why, and we should ask why repeatedly. For example, using the 5 whys techniques to move from a surface level observation to a root cause. And then also to do what we call documentation in real time. This documentation in real time help us to take raw data, unfiltered notes, just like observation from the first short visit, and to make us record facts, quotes, and impressions without immediate judgment or analysis. So the key personal attributes of focus observation, it's first we should develop a beginner's mind. For example, the internal state of a person is critical to seeing clearly what type of observations we have. And then consciously set aside preconceptions and expert knowledge, being willing to see the situation as if for the first time. This will help us to also to notice things that is we don't notice it in the normal state. The no judgment awareness is part of the, again, the key personal attributes. Initially, we record what is, not what you think is good or bad. And judgment can shut down discovery. First, we need to understand the reality so that we don't make a judgment in the first place. And then we should have a deep curiosity, it means that we should have a genuine desire to understand how and why things work the way they do. This is the fuel that drives us to look deeper. The fourth thing that will help us to bring our best attributes for a focused observation is the patience and focus. Okay, we should avoid the temptation to jump to solution immediately. We should stay in the observation phase and think about true insights that often emerge after a sustained period of focused attention. So a framework for action, turning a focused observation into opportunity, is very important. Simply observing is not enough. We need a process to exploit what we find. So we need to scan systematically the environment around us and dedicate time to actively scan areas like this through doing SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, or using PESTEL, for example, political, economical, social, technological, legal, and environmental, to structure our observation. Sometimes we need to connect the dots. So finding opportunities often live at the intersection of different observation or the section of different specialties. Example, a social shift, remote to work, plus technological trend, which is cloud collaboration, plus customer pain points, feeling disconnected from the teams, equal an opportunity for a new virtual team building platforms. So we need to validate actually and test, okay, so that we can create a low-cost way to test our assumptions. We need to talk to potential customers, build minimal prototype, and run a small-scale pilot observations so that we can create again a turning point from our focus observation. We need to act with agility, which means create the environment that is always changing, the ability to observe, decide, and act quickly, the ability to, again, exploit an opportunity from observation. By consciously and consistently observing in these key areas, we can move from being a passive participant in our market to active shaping, let's say, leaders who are poised to seize the right opportunity at the right time. I think we'll stop here and continue with you in the next section. Thank you very much.